The commissioners in attendance and absence weren't listed. Didn't know if that was a issue at all. They are what? In the electronic version, they are, yeah.
Remember, we have to use our
Mics.
mics and everything.
Are we reviewing them? Oh, today, haha, this is the agenda. Well, as you can tell, I'm new to this. Great, let's look at the minutes real quick. And so if folks want to take a minute just to double check and make sure things go well, or I'll just give folks 60 seconds to look through. And as you all are going, if anyone has any edits, just go ahead and name them now. I can get a official like thumbs up from folks if you're okay. Okay, feels like we're good. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Oh, here's the motion, and can I get a second as well with the mic turned on? That would be helpful.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Go. Any opposed? Great. Motion for the minutes is passed. Awesome. So we'll move on to our next piece, which is our financial update. Looks like Davey's give him a okay, no problem. We'll give him just a second. Maybe what we can do is move to the process for the statements, and then we can come back to the financial update. So if folks want to go and find a document, it's a little checkbox document that says if yes and no and stuff like that, and pull that out. That's what we're going to move to next. Davey, we're going to jump to that. Just you were on the phone when we were going to do a financial update. Do you want to do a financial update first, or?
Well, I can go ahead. It's not long.
Go for it. Go ahead and give the financial update first, then.
It's basically the same thing. We're still within this budget year, and all of our attention basically has been turned toward the upcoming budget year. And the biggest thing in our budget anyway, if you look, is salaries and benefits. So we're on target,
We're good.
unless there are
we
any
okay?
questions.
Are we short on quorum? Is that the question? Okay. All right. Not staff, not quorum. All right. We will.
She's lost.
So we'll
She's in the
get
building.
our 9.
All right. But I don't know where she is.
All right, that's okay. Yeah, thanks for the count. Well, wait for the meeting to happen, Ben, and then you can make it. No, it's a minor today. Right when I got comfortable with the gavel, here we go.
At least you did get it.
I got to hit it a couple of times. Yeah,
Although it won't be recorded.
that's right. Yeah, that's okay.
But you might want to hit it again before she gets here.
That's
just
right.
for
What'd you say?
That's not distract. I'm not touching it after.
I noticed that when you were going, Ashley and Ben both like kind of doing the finger thing, and I was like, oh, maybe we're not right. Oh. There we go. There's enough.
Johnny West. I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted. Did you start?
I didn't. You're the ninth. You get quorum.
that's
So
my chair.
I hit the gavel. a
Those
couple
mics are really intense.
Well,
Look at echo in here. Hi, y'all.
Madam
Hello.
Chair, here is your.
Hi, Executive Director. I see why you were whispering when I was talking to you on the phone. Okay, everybody was already here. Good to see you.
You too.
I'm glad you're here. Okay, so let's start. Okay, the meeting for the full commission meeting, the Metro Human Relations Commission begins today, April 3rd, 2023. Do we have all the commissioners in attendance noted? I believe we probably do. Can I confirm quorum? I can. It's good to see you guys.
We thought we could too, but we can't.
Oh, really?
We may have started the meeting, then realized there were 8.
Oh, so you've already been through all this?
We've been
Okay.
through a little bit.
Okay.
We've done some minutes and stuff like that.
You've done minutes?
But we need
Well,
to
we need
vote
to
on it
approve that.
again,
So
yeah.
if you've done minutes, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I think there is a minor correction, right, Ben?
We misspelled Fabian's name.
We missed
On
whose
the second
name?
part. Anyway, we've got it. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, great.
I think there was the motion. Go ahead and remake your motions in seconds.
I motion it.
Do your second. I second. I don't want to take anyone's motion.
Sorry, I'm hearing echoes. So we got a motion, we got a second. Any against? Okay, then this motion so moves. Let's move on. Financial update, do we want to do a quick one? Davey?
Yes, and just for the record, Pratik made me do it already, but no, we're on budget. We're on budget. We're under budget, and we're in the process of trying to figure out what our budget is going to be for the upcoming year.
And what does that look like? Like, are you in between meetings or something? or
Yes.
what? Okay.
Yes, and we're trying to figure out what it means when we got a call back on the personnel that we asked for. So we're trying to interpret that as maybe that's a positive.
Okay.
We answered it with the MRHC inspired budget equity tool, which I think I don't think anybody in Metro is more apt at doing it than the staff that we have. So we've moved forward with it, and what was a 30-minute budget meeting turned into an hour and a half, and they want to do a follow-up around the personnel that we've asked for.
All of them?
Yes.
So they're under consideration as every single person you've asked for?
Yeah, but just the fact that they've come back to ask for us to get back together, we're interpreting that as
Yeah.
positive.
Wow. Okay, that's huge. Thank you. Okay, then great. We can move on to new business if there aren't any questions about that. When are they saying they have to decide all this for the budget stuff?
Well, ultimately, the mayor's office, after the various departments, we met with at least 12 people were there, from finance, HR, and the DEI folks out of finance. And from their conversations, they give their proposals and probably their thumbs up or down to the mayor's office, and then when they put it all together, that's when he releases it. You kind of go to see that you win the lotto or not.
Okay, and no surprises by the conversation or questions that they brought up in your meeting?
Excuse me?
No surprises in the questions or conversations that they brought up in your
No,
meeting?
actually, it felt like they were teeing it up.
Right, that's what it sounds like.
And then a couple questions that were asked about our services or what we plan to do overlapping some other DEI efforts. And one of the people that were on the hearing said that basically our work doesn't overlap, which was surprise
Okay,
to confirm our argument that it doesn't.
right,
They legitimated that it didn't.
excellent. And I don't know if everyone's seen this, because I think we saw it in an executive committee, but it's a rather extensive budget with a lot of programming behind it, which is, it's quite an exciting vision for what MHRC could be doing. It's very different than anything I've seen since I've been here. So it's kind of really projecting us forward in a lot of, in a very kind of vision-centered way, as opposed to just like, we need this to help us with this or this to help us with that, is how I would describe it. So it's very exciting. Okay, great. Then let's get to new business. Oh yeah, we have an awesome proposal process for issuing MHRC commission statements. So the kinds of statements we've done this year on trans youth, on the shootings in Memphis, the stadium we did a month before that. Just really wanting to get clarity about, what, when and how do we do this? Our mission is very, very broad, so it could cover so many things. So it doesn't help to say like yes or no. So our dear vice chair has come up with a beautiful process, so he's going to talk us through that.
Yeah, vice chair without a gavel, just as a reminder to everybody. So yeah, I just wanted to walk through this. I think that I took a stab at creating a draft, and Ashley put some eyes on. The idea was that, we were at a point where we didn't want to write a statement for everything. And I want to name that, the statements that we have done in the past were relevant and necessary, but it could have also started a slippery slope where, we are writing a statement for, too much parking's too expensive in Nashville or something, which is also probably worth a statement. But anyway, just wanting to create sort of a guideline here. First off, as we go through this is just a guideline. It's not an end all be all, and there are going to be exceptions to this rule. But we really want to have folks use this before they think about writing a statement, just so that we can kind of check ourselves and go through a filter before just bringing it to the full commission and spending a 15 to 20 minute block of time discussing a statement. So real fast, basically it's just a flow chart. It's just a yes, no kind of deal of whether do we like it? If yes, continue. And then if not, stop there. So does it fit our mission and vision was obviously an important piece. Does this affect Nashville, especially because it is a metro entity, and making sure that it affects Davidson County? Does this affect the core issues of MHRC? So you might be thinking, what are the core issues? I know that staff is currently putting together those core issues and finalizing that. Does that sound right, Davey? That they're still in the process of sort of narrowing down and nailing that. But once they will come to us with the proposal of those core issues. But we want to make sure that we are fitting and being efficient with our staff time and our energy so that we are hitting our core issues to move forward. So on that one, if it does hit our core issues, we're going to continue. If it does not, we ask that commissioners actually reach out to staff and just say, is this something that, you all have capacity for to move forward? And then staff can give input there. It's not saying that it's a stop point or anything like that, but we want to make sure that, we are getting input from staff in that moment of whether we can move that forward. We went ahead and we put a core issue kind of piece together. This is not an end all be all, but just so you all could see kind of the structure of, what we think the core issues might be. From there, I think we asked the question of, will this statement impact a specific decision, strengthen a relationship, or help a position at MHRC or help with branding? I think this is really important because we don't want to just put out a statement just to put out a statement, that there needs to be some sort of advantage, there needs to be some sort of gain for MHRC in order to do that. And so thinking about that and then a yes, no there. And then the other one we put is, have we made a statement about the same issue in the last 180 days? Just to give ourselves a little bit of a opportunity to not be too redundant. And so that was sort of the idea. And then the next piece is, can you draft a statement a week before the meeting? So that way staff could get that, we could send it out to everyone, and then it's quicker to make edits as opposed to reading the statement in the meeting, but giving us some runway to look at it beforehand and being efficient with time. So one more time, again, just naming guideline, not end all be all. Doesn't mean that, if there's something that we need to write a statement on, multiple times in a 6-month stand, we're all behind it, but just something to help us put the filter through before stopping there. So any questions or thoughts on this, just kind of how people are feeling?
I think it sounds like a great idea so that we can be organized around our efforts and empower us as individuals to kind of be considerate and mindful of what we're bringing before everyone. And I do think it's always good to have more eyes on something to decide if it's the right thing for the group. I think this is a great idea.
And I would also add to that even when there's not a statement that may come through MHRC, that you could possibly write an op-ed piece. And at the end of it, when it says whatever it is that you do, it's well within your right to also say that you're a commissioner on the Metro Human Relations Commission. That does not imply, because at the end, it's just who you are. It's just identifying you. It doesn't imply that MHRC is rolling with it. So there are multiple ways that you can get your voice heard. And I like the op-ed piece. You get the flexibility to say what you got to say, and it doesn't have to get filtered through 17 people. So that's always a potential alternative.
Excellent. Do we need a motion to adopt this, or are we good to just, I think we probably need a motion. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah.
And if there's going to be a motion, I mean, my one question would be whether this in any way would amend or change any of our current bylaws and what the executive committee may be authorized to do in lieu of this. Yeah.
This is vis-a-vis statements.
But my understanding, and I couldn't find it looking in the book, is the executive committee can make statements under certain situations without,
And override.
yeah.
I think our intention is that we all kind of have to play by this rule. At least go through these motions to figure out whether this, even if the executive committee feels so called to do a statement, where it fits into this process. But
I have the same question as Charles. I was
Yeah.
just wondering, do we have to vote on this? Can we just keep it in the book and just, it's
Use
just
it.
an agreement that we all plan to use as opposed to doing a motion?
Since it's just for meetings?
Yeah, it's really just for statements. I don't know.
Well, I would say Charles brings up a good question. You don't have to do anything on it between now and next meeting.
Right.
You can operate off of this, but we will check
Right.
and see if there is. And so that'll be one of the
Yeah.
agenda
I
items
think
for
that makes sense.
That'd be
next
great.
meeting.
I will say, I think Ashley and I both created this with the idea that there wouldn't be a motion and a second and a vote on this. We just wanted it to be a guideline and a resource that we all have starred to just use as we're writing statements so that it can save us time and efficiency. That was the goal.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Pratik and Ashley. It did feel, I did get like 10 pounds lighter just reading it. So thank you. Okay, inclusivics. Dun, 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 dun,
Should be
dun,
music
dun, dun,
right
dun.
Welcome. Okay. Oh no. I said I wasn't going to touch it, and then I touched it. Like, what did I touch? Well, I must have just touched these cords. So, okay, we're back. Okay. I'm just gonna stay right here. I've only got 4 slides. Got it. Up. Well, I'll just try to find that sweet spot again. Oh, Tom. Okay, no, I'm just gonna be real. You know, in high school, I did the things that, so I got real good at.
All right, move your hands. Let me do this, 'cause I need
You're
you
not
to
gonna
talk.
stand there
No,
for 10
I'm not.
minutes.
I'm thinking I can, hopefully we can. All right.
Okay. I'm not gonna move my hands at all. I'm gonna do this with my hands behind my back. So we are super close to being ready to release the Inclusivics report. I've just got 4 slides here, so I'm not doing a review like I did last time. But we wanted to just give you an update and tell you where we are in the process. So these are some images from the report. So you can see it's all designed and everything. And I've kind of got 5 different clusters that show the structure and format of it. So, basic stuff, executive summary of the beginning. And then we have several of our analyses about race and ethnicity of our workforce. I should have also started by saying, if y'all weren't here when I gave the preliminary overview a couple months ago, this is our update to looking at the demographics, salary, and some other factors of the Metro general government employees and workforce, which is 51 departments that we are part of. And so this is 8 years of longitudinal data. So after we look at some race and ethnicity analyses, we look at gender, we look at the makeup of those 51 departments by race, gender, salary, and size of departments. And then the last sort of category is we look at where employees live. And so you can see a little image there, but we have a map of Tennessee showing the counties that people live in, and then the graphs are just Davidson County or not Davidson County. So I've got and then we have an appendix that has a profile of each of the 51 departments here. So I just picked 3 starting alphabetically and picking a few at the beginning of the alphabet that sort of show how those profiles were made. So what this shows is the gender breakdown of employees. Again, it's only male and female, so it does use a limiting gender binary. The average number of years of full-time employees by gender. I'm just going across the top bar here. The race breakdown of departments, the little box on the top with the little icon figure is the director of the department. So it gives the title of the directors, race, gender, the number of years that they have worked in the department, and the salary. And then the top right box is just the number of employees, part-time, full-time, seasonal, et cetera. We have a distribution of all the salary points of employees. That's on the left column, the red sort of spread there. And then we have a map of where employees live. And then the blue image is age by gender. So that's what we've made for each department. I just pulled this from our executive summary, so y'all can see, again, we've got our categories of race and ethnicity, gender, departments, and then residents. So I went over a lot of these preliminary findings last time, but white employees overall are paid the highest average salaries. The largest pay gaps when we look at race is between white workers and Black or African American workers, and white workers or Hispanic and Latino workers. And we see that white employees are overrepresented in the highest income brackets, and Black or African American employees are overrepresented in lower income brackets. When we look at gender, our workforce is majority male at about 60%, but our new hiring, those numbers are not quite as much of a gap. And starting salaries are pretty equal when we look at gender, but they become unequal over time, with males making significantly higher salaries than females. When we look at departments, the majority of our departments, this surprised me a little bit. Majority of them are female departments, but it's our largest departments that are predominantly male. So that's the police department, sheriff. Those departments are predominantly male, which accounts for the majority male workforce, even though 33 of our 51 departments are very predominantly female staffed. I'll just pop down to the counties. We see across race and across income, our employees are in smaller percentages living in Davidson County. So we're seeing more and more employees living in surrounding counties. And in 2022, it was about 53% of employees live in Davidson County. Black or African American, Hispanic, and Latinx employees live in Davidson County at higher percentages than white employees. And this one surprised me a little bit, at first at least. I looked at counties by income level, and so employees whose salary was up to $50,000 percentage-wise, that's the highest percent of employees who live in Davidson County. And when we look at the highest income earners with salaries at 100K or more, there's a steep decline of those are employees who are living outside of the county. So interesting finding. Yes, so I could look at all of that, yeah.
And if you would back up one, no, go forward one. No, to the one that's got that one there. To your answer, Pratik, on all the departments, you see the Tennessee map in the bottom right and the shading of that tells where those employees live relative to Davidson County.
Yeah, so I know you can't actually read the details of this, but the darker the shading, the higher the number of people who live there. And so again, this is broken up by departments, but in the report, we do have just all employees with a similar map.
Yeah, what that brings up for me, I guess, and for everybody else right now, you're thinking, so you're saying the highest paid people are predominantly white, and they live outside of Nashville, which is probably a more diverse county vis-a-vis some of these surrounding counties. So that's just, do you see what I'm saying? If we're talking about Williamson County, for instance, although Williamson County has pockets of, but I'm just saying where they're coming from into, where they work looks very different.
Yeah.
And they also look very different from the people that are working, as their staff. And so that's just notable to me.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Amy, looks like you want to say something. No. Okay. Is it more expensive to live in Davidson County than Williamson County?
True. Yeah.
This is Rick Wise, too.
This all speaks to that, right? Like the demographics around where people are living versus who they're serving, I think.
And if I could, as you can tell, I'm excited about this, and we're really trying to get Ashley to get to the final draft to where, but no, a couple of things that I think, as she put this executive summary together, which I think will draw some conversation around, is the data where the people who make the least amount of money tend to live in the county, and they tend to be people of color. While it appears Metro does better hiring people, we don't know why it separates as they stay. So maybe, and we've been talking about possible next steps of looking at promotion, retention, terminations, stuff like that, because it does spread out.
And opportunities for growth, right? additional education, additional training, whatever it might be, to keep that leveled up however needed? And how are people being promoted?
And it's also interesting when you get the report, you'll see that those individuals who work in departments that do more governing make more than those people that work in departments that provide safety net services. Those agencies that provide governance are overwhelmingly white, and those that provide safety netting are the lowest paid, and they're primarily black.
I do have something to say. Part of the discussion about the gap in maintaining an increase of salary for women, I would just like to say, it may be an unpopular statement, but a lot of the data that I've seen shows that women aren't traditionally asking for those raises as their male counterparts are. So there's work to be done on everyone's part to make this an opportunity available and then a safe space to ask. So agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree.
So question, and you mentioned this, and I saw it on the handout that we have about some takeaways, but I want to make sure I understand. It's a statement that says data transparency about attrition and promotion may provide more important insights. But are you saying that that information is not available or will not be available, or it will be available?
So I just moved to the slide that you're referencing here. And so I can speak about that a little bit. So sort of the tone and the framing that we think can be helpful when we present this report is like to say, these are things that stick out to us. These are what the data say. These are questions and considerations that we think should be conversation starters for thinking about who is the audience. Is it HR? Is it the council? Is it the benefits board? And these are the four that we've landed on so far. So I'll just go through them here. So number one is it's really clear that the number of Hispanic and Latinx employees is not increasing in a way that is reflective of the growth, this very rapidly growing demographic in our city. So I think the overall numbers show about 3% of our workforce to be Hispanic or Latinx, and some estimates in the city are 14. So we're not keeping up as a reflective in our own workforce there. So emphasizing and showing that. The second point here, so data transparency about attrition and promotion may provide important insights. And so this is kind of about like people might be starting off at similar salaries when it comes to gender, some when it comes to race, although there's differences in starting salaries among different race groups as well. But this is a de-identified data set that we're not looking at people across the 8 years. We're just looking at a snapshot each year. So I'm not able to tell you this person left in this year, and this is the number of people who were in year 7, but not in year 8 or that kind of thing. So we think that there could be some important analyses, like showing the people that are leaving these positions when we think about tenure and promotion and training and the things that y'all have already brought up on your own. So y'all are asking the same questions that we're asking, even with this small preview that we're doing here. I mean, you want to say something?
Not all. I mean, there are individuals, and I don't want to name any departments. No. Some people are senior with high school diplomas with people with terminal degrees reporting to them.
Yeah, so I mean, it's an interesting, like, what are the job, or I don't know if it's job applications versus like the topic of promotion, like which is more influential there. And I'll say that all of the data that I used to compile this report is available on the Nashville Open Data Portal. Anybody can go look at it, pull the same data that I did and create a data set. This, people who leave their positions for whatever reason, that is not publicly available data. So that is a conversation that we would have to have with the people who make those decisions about what becomes available. And so, yeah.
And we're also meeting with HR to give them a preview of this, to get their comments, and also to ask about access to other data to potentially look at. So we don't want anybody to feel like they're getting blindsided or anything. So we're meeting with them about this.
That's excellent. I'm glad they're going to hear about it and learn about it. And I mean, it sounds like they take it into consideration, at least some of it from the last report, because some of the stuff, there's progress. So this thing about promotion and this like splitting off that happens after they come in is something they can focus on, which is great. So thank you for doing that work for all of us. The other thing that comes to mind for next year
So
sorry, really quickly, I just want to say this, is what if we got anecdotal, qualitative stories about people's experience that ended up leaving for these reasons? And it can be anonymous, but just as a sort of other kind of survey of what the experience is.
So what is the rollout on this once it's done?
I'll just say, Mary, we've talked about, like, there are many ideas that I think we on staff have talked about that we're exploring some of those things. I'll answer your question next, but I don't know, Dave, if you want to.
No,
doing
no,
stack.
There's a question.
The question was, what's the rollout on this once it's finished?
Our meeting with the folks from HR is this Thursday. We've also requested a meeting with Andrea Blackman from the DEI office that sits within finance. We don't have that scheduled yet, but based on whatever conversation we have on Thursday, if there are tweaks or changes to be made, we might make those. But I mean, it's ready to go.
Well, okay. I guess in addition to HR and Andrew Blackman, it seems to me that personnel needs to be in that mix because personnel has a lot to do with who's hired.
But that is HR.
Oh, is that the same thing? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. I guess my question was, once we sort of go through those disclosures, who are we presenting this to?
The council, the mayor, the various departments.
Person or?
No, they're gonna get a hard copy
Right.
delivered to the mayor's office, his staff, all the council, all the departments that are in here. And then we'll have some other hard copies available. And then there'll also be digital copies that we put up on our website and make available to anybody that wants to see it.
I guess what I was asking is whether or not there would be an actual in-person presentation to whomever wanted to come
Like a listening
at some
session.
point in time.
Yeah. I think it might be
Which
helpful.
I think would be much more effective than just handing somebody a piece of paper.
For sure, like a panel discussion on these issues, essentially.
Or
Maybe
like a listening session to help. I mean, it's a lot of data and the summary is awesome, but just to help people kind of digest what may come up with some unique ideas that's kind of crowdsourced.
Not a bad idea, Commissioner Vinnick.
Yeah, I think a launch event would be really important. And then a request of like some cool shareable social media content of some of the higher findings and not in a bullet point form if possible.
I hope Davey will the report itself is very attractive
Yes,
looking.
it's gorgeous.
We can make it look nice.
Yes, excellent, thank you.
Sorry for running late this afternoon, but I came for the best part of the party, it sounds like. I just wanted to make a comment and then a question. So this seems similar to what we have in policing, where our officers are not from the communities that they police. And then there's a big, huge disconnect between the communities you're policing or protecting, serving, whatever words you want to use, and the residents of that neighborhood or area. It sounds like the same mixture of problems that could come out of that. With that being said, I I would like to, or if you guys have thought about it, of the ratio of racial discrimination lawsuits and how it's proportional with the number of who is in management and who is not in management. I would love to see that. If there's a way we could put that formula there, I think it would probably be, the numbers would probably show that where you have a huge number of white males supervising brown and black people and majority of women, you're going to have a lot of issues because maybe that disconnect there showing up in your discrimination lawsuit as well as your sexual harassment lawsuits.
And we may not have access to any of that, but I think complaints is another aspect of that, and
Okay.
maybe something to talk to. I mean, they're probably not going to want to release the complaints, but they might have numbers of complaints or something like that. That would be interesting. So, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, no, oh,
Okay, so then you gave me one that you said was like done. So this is done. Is that right?
There's small refinements and finalizing to do. So I
Okay.
mean, we're thinking a release will come in the next couple of weeks.
since Irwin threw the launch thing on the table, we'll talk about that in our staff meeting this week. But no, what you got is not the final, so don't do anything with that. She changed some of the other stuff. Okay.
So no, great. And I do think a launch event would be huge for the commission. So however we can support and getting, whatever form, maybe we are going to meet, executive committee is going to meet in what, 2 weeks or a week? No, we're at the beginning of the month right now, so never mind. I was going to say if we can support in brainstorming, whether it's a panel or whether it's just a presentation or whether it's, yeah, there's a lot of thoughts around that. So that'd be great. Okay.
And I think when we do talk about the launch, farther out may actually be better with a lot of the local stuff that's on the table right now that will definitely overshadow this. So we'll look at that because we need to get,
Good
Metro
point.
needs to get a lot of other stuff out of the way to really give voice to this, I think. So,
That's
so
true.
we'll talk about that this
That's
week.
very true. Okay.
Well, just one other thing. So getting back to the point that you were raising about lawsuits, what we may be able to get, it's because the process, it's not a question of what the lawsuits are, it's a question of how many complaints of discrimination are filed technically with the EEOC or with departments. And that information should be available in a gross way in terms of addressing gender issues, harassment issues, failure to hire issues, termination issues. And it might, might be interesting. You certainly wouldn't be able to get the detail on, departments and names and all that, but you should be able to get gross information.
And just as you were talking, I was writing notes. There's a couple levels before it even gets to that. Like an employee can file a grievance within the department that they work that could get hired, that could get resolved by a low-level supervisor that may not go anywhere. Then there's the complaint that goes from a department to Metro HR. And then they have a couple of different levels there that actually bring in Metro Legal. Then it may leave and go to a Title VI or a EEOC. And out of the 10,000 employees, I think if we were going to try to provide any type of picture of what may be available, we would really need to see how they operate day to day, and it's down where you see the grievances and the complaints that don't rise to the level that it leaves, but they speak to what it is that you're talking about.
That's a deep rabbit hole.
Okay, great. And we have, the commission itself has anecdotal conversation around that as well because of the complaints we have received. Okay, so again, thank you. That's a lot of data to parse through, and the graphics, the infographics are excellent. Let's talk about upcoming meetings impacting our city. The stadium second reading is coming. I honestly don't even understand what this, maybe y'all can explain it better, what this will determine versus the ones that come after this. I don't know. Can you talk us through that? The second reading.
It's just the judicial process or that governmental process. The stand-in for Derek, maybe.
We just point to you.
But no, every piece of legislation got to go through three. And in a real sense to me, and you may have a different perspective, 1 and 2 seems to be almost a given. You know, I've rarely seen anything killed at 1. So this is the second reading, but it's going to be, if it's not on the agenda first, when normally public hearings are listed first, hopefully it'll be well over in the early mornings before that even comes up.
One thing that I think is important to also just name is, like, because of the events of last week, there was a special committee meeting that was supposed to be held. That was a joint committee between Budget and Finance and the East Bank Stadium Committee. That was on Monday, the day of the shooting last week. So that meeting was canceled. And so as of now, I mean, maybe they'll choose to defer it tomorrow, but they didn't even have the special meeting to talk about this, and we're still moving forward with it in the midst of everything that is happening. And so I just hope that the council makers, like, you know, there's a lot of concerned voices that this is just like going full speed ahead and just like canceling the meeting last week and not having it.
Yeah, I was just going to say for both of these, and I know that we'll go over the second set as well, but the reality is that with just the crisis that our city's going through right now, like, we're about tomorrow, there's a chance that we're going to make some decisions without really, like, there's not really thought that I've seen or like discussion, debate. And so I think that, you know, the thing that concerns me is the council could make some decisions tomorrow after like a week of not thinking about, you know, these decisions on that front. And so maybe I'll pass it back to you all to talk about the other things too, because I do have a lot of thoughts on the redistricting pieces. Yeah.
Well, tomorrow night is the public hearing. And we've been, as others have, pushing for folk to come and let the council hear what their opinions are on this. From my perspective, this takes us back 60 years when they're taking us back to the size of the council before the consolidation. And when we get maps, the planning department is doing everything they can, and they're using standard protocols which only establish probabilities. In an actual election, if the probabilities aren't met, the court has said it doesn't mean that the math is wrong. So if you understand what that means, it's, okay, here you might get probable this, but even if you don't, then there's no harm and no foul. But to go back 60 years is troubling. It would totally recast the way Metro operates. It takes out the over a year that went into the redistricting that happened in 2020. There'll be very little communal input. This is Nashville reacting to the law that was passed by the state. And so all that's up on them tomorrow is if planning was mandated in the law to submit the plan. Council has to vote on it. How they vote rests in council's hands. If they do not pass a map in time, it extends the existing council 1 year, and then, which others say violates the state constitution, which states county elected officials are elected to 4-year terms. And then in 2024, there will be a special election to elect council members to 3-year terms, which again would appear to violate the Constitution in that they're supposed to be elected to 4-year terms. And then in 2027, you're back on to the regular process.
I think, so my thoughts are, while we could see a string of unconstitutionality, right, I think that could also be a trigger for the state to, like, you know, again, we are reacting to what the state has given us, but to see, you know, something that is unconstitutional of extending a term, then another unconstitutionality of trying to select a 3-year term for council, like, these strings can just be another model of like why the state shouldn't be interfering in, you know, different cities' planning. That's one. The other concern I have is last year, if you all remember, you know, we had the redistricting. There were so many voters that were confused about Council District 5 and 7, right? So many voters got confused, and that was like they had a year to plan that. Imagine now that gets cut down to 90 days. Like that seems just, I mean, that's mistakes that are just waiting to happen. And it's not like they're adding budget to give more staff to the Davidson County Election Commission or anything like that. Like the commission staff isn't growing or being assisted in any way to help with this. And so I think that is what is like most concerning to me, is that we're going to make this rush decision. On top of that, I also agree that there should be public input from the community. Community should get a say in this process, and if they vote on it tomorrow, the only say is if you make it to a meeting at 6:30 p.m. and is willing to stay there till 1 a.m. or whatever. That's your window, and that's it. Like that doesn't seem right to me. And so like that's why I'm definitely gonna be sending folks over there to share that and push that on a personal level as well. But those are my biggest concerns, is just that we're going to try and ram through something without the community having a say on a very rushed timeline that we were forced into, when we have an opportunity to at least say no and like build some time out here. So, I mean, it's not about 15-5, 17-3 and all these other like maps here. It's about the community deserves time to get education and to have a say in this, and I feel like they don't.
Also, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., the court will hear Metro's lawsuit, and they also joined a voter lawsuit to hopefully issue an injunction tomorrow. It's 9 a.m., and I can send the commission the link to the YouTube thing. So that's tomorrow, and I don't know, they don't expect that they may rule then, or it may take a couple of days. But I think that'll be, well, I think what happens when the court does rule will determine the particular strategies for how you go forward. You know, if they just say it's straight up unconstitutional and in the injunction, or the judge talks crazy in the injunction, like the way the judge talked in the recent order given an injunction for the recently passed trans bill on Friday. I'm not a lawyer, but he said the state missed it on the tenets of the First Amendment. I mean, that sounds kind of rough to me, and maybe some of you lawyers can add to that. So hopefully that will be if that happens, then I think the strategy going forward is different. If they don't, then I think, again, it's ultimately got to go back to the council. And even as part of the city's lawsuit, they're saying that at a minimum, it ought to be put before referendum for the people in the city to have something to say about it.
Yes.
To your point, that it's going to take us back and it's going to be chaotic. I think that's the intent of it. For all practical purposes, it's meant to sow discord in this particular area of Tennessee that's Democratic leaning. So that is doing its purpose because we all going, what we're going to do. But then I think on the other side that if the council move forward and put this to a vote without our input, then maybe we need to look at it saying, well, maybe we need to start over from scratch with some folks that's going to allow us to hear or to give our input and take the community interest seriously.
I'm confused about, if someone can walk me through it, I've been busy with all the other crises in the city. I'm confused about what our input can do, because the maps are determined by population, census population, right? That's
Not
census data.
just that. No, there's a long list of stuff that they have to consider. That's just one of the things. They have to try to keep, and this is not a definitive list,
Right.
but they have to keep what one would consider a neighborhood together. Like Madison is
So you
going
can't
to be
split it up.
split up. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Then you also have to look at representation, but they have a weird way of saying it to where you can't just say we're going to create black districts or whatever, but they have a way that they have to consider the representation. And then there's multiple other things that go into
And so
that.
so community should be able to say, I think that the way that you've drafted this does not actually take care of representation, or doesn't
Yes,
actually
yes.
take it. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And-
Like,
and-
I see what you put up there, but that's not what my experience is in that neighborhood or that community or what. Okay.
A great example would be you have a Hispanic council person. The census data says that there's anywhere from 10.9 to maybe 14% of our population is Hispanic. When you divide 14% into 770, 80,000 people, that becomes, can you find enough of them? Because they can go in and have a majority minority district to where it doesn't have all 10% of the Hispanics in it, but it's set up in a way that it increases the probability that a Hispanic could possibly win. But those things have to be tweaked, and folk constantly talking, sending planning back and sending planning back again and again. And as they move around town, it's like over time, the way the last redistricting went, we kind of knew it was going to be a bad deal anyway, but it was through the community involvement that it kind of came out to where people can kind of live with it. But in my estimation here, anything that they're talking about here will be detrimental to Nashville and its representation. Anything that would potentially get passed by the council, I feel is going to be harmful to certain people in this city.
I also just want to make sure everyone sees, you have a little flyer in the agenda materials today that includes a timeline as of yesterday when this was created. No matter what the council decides tomorrow, if they say 20-0, 17-3, the maps themselves are not being voted on tomorrow. The maps have to be approved or rejected by May 1st. So I just want to make sure that nobody leaves thinking that the maps will be approved or not approved.
So there is a window between the 17.3 and y'all know what we're talking about, like how many at-large we have versus how many district. And so there is a window between that vote and the decision where we could try to squeeze in some influence and
So
discussion.
are the majority of the at-large decision vote, is that being voted on tomorrow?
Have you seen the agenda yet?
Yeah, so I just looked at it. So this is, I'm not going to click on all of these. So this is what the public hearing is on tomorrow. So the first filed resolution was that the map should be 17 and 3, 17 districts, 17 districts and 3 at large. But all of these different amendments are different configurations. So one is 20 and 0, one is 16 and 4, one is 16 and 4 super at large, one is 15 and 5.
But that's what the public hearing is about tomorrow.
Yeah. So this is to give guidance to council to instruct the planning commission, which is the staff that draws the map, on how they should proceed. So the council could also not vote on any particular one, my understanding. That, I mean, they don't have to tell planning tomorrow. 17 and 3 is what we want.
Yes, but also I think they will be voting on this resolution. And if they vote the resolution up, they're going to have to sort through the amendments, because the first resolution had the 17.3. So the resolution is still a resolution, and all of those amendments are to the 17.3. So they're going to have to move through those, and the only way they move through them to get back to the regular resolution is they're going to have to vote up or down on those various resolutions. On those various amendments. And again, even though it's a resolution and everybody says it's non-binding, it will be exactly the way the resolution on the East Bank is. It created a green light, and it's non-binding, but it created a green light because it does give tacit approval.
I was just going to name, I also think it's worth stating that this process is so complicated, right? And I think it's worth naming whoever, if anyone is going to this hearing tomorrow, to just name that it is unfair to expect our community members to just understand this off a piece of paper and then just be looped in a map and the district and say, and I think they had some public hearing stuff last week, and I saw those times and hours. It was not going to be, it's not fair for our communities. It just isn't fair for our communities. There are organizations that have opinions on this. There are individuals that have opinions on this. And this sheet of paper is not the way to communicate with our communities. And they know that.
Yes.
And I guess I'll take this opportunity, whether the commission knows or not, there was a second lawsuit filed by voters, electeds, and candidates. I am the lead litigant of the voters. So I've lived in this county, I pay my taxes here, and we'll be heard tomorrow morning also from the voter, candidate, and elected positions, which are different than that of the states.
It's because of these lawsuits, and I might have missed this. Is there currently an injunction on the new law so that it doesn't go through, or is it still?
That hearing is tomorrow at 9 a.m. This, to me, will dictate how the political apparatus will operate in Nashville going forward. Nashville did not get to where it is without people fighting and scuffling, falling out, falling back in. But Nashville has come up with a way, as imperfect as it is, for us to get to where we are. And for the state to arbitrarily, in my opinion, say this is how you will and you're going to fix it. My challenge to councilmen as I talk to them is I've I would never participate in my own demise. It's like the classic movie scene where the individual pulls the gun on you and tells you, if you don't do something equally injurious to yourself, I'm going to shoot you. That's what this is. And when individuals grab it and try to make the best out of a bad situation, you're giving me choices that if you had not put them on the table, no one would have ordered them. And so, as it relates to the general welfare of Nashville, this challenges that to me. This threatens that to me. There are, even with this commission and the history of some of the people who served here, even with those who worked with the Consolidation Commission, you have to conjure spirits of folks who gave their careers to try to get Nashville where it is. And for a state law to immediately take you back politically to 60 years, I find that egregious, and I believe all citizens should find it untenable.
Thank you, Davey. Yeah, this is part of from my perspective, a strategy to make our city and state as least democratic as, like, not a democracy as possible. I think that you're right. There was a lot of work put into making Nashville, it's not where we all want it to be, it never is, but it's come a real long way, especially from, And I think that's part of what's going on, is that significant progress has been made in representation and voices and debates, and we're hearing about perspectives that we had never heard before, as long as I've been growing up here. So I just think when you're onto something is when the stakes get really high, and to utilize state power in such a way is truly astonishing to me. The fear there, the fear that I sense there in terms of just trying to really lock it down and shut it out is palatable to me. No voice is unlike the voice that they want to hear. Yes, Kosar.
I guess something that's just been troubling me has been kind of, and obviously I'm not like in the mayor's office or like in the council, but I just haven't seen like a fight that's been, like I just haven't seen the council or the mayor's office really put up a fight and stand against like not only this, new law, but also the one that's going to overtake some of the, like the airport authority, and in addition to some of the laws that are just affecting our everyday citizens, these transphobic laws that have been passed. And so I just don't know if, I think first and foremost, I think there needs to be, much more added political pressure on these folks to do this work. And I don't know if this is a space to be able to just maybe like reach out to members, talk to the, urge, the mayor's office to really be an advocate and to fight for Nashvillians, because I just haven't seen that. I think, where, I think this isn't the time to just, sit back and have them kind of bulldoze over us. I think at the very least, there needs to be a fight that needs to be put. And just, I'm just disappointed with kind of how this has been going and kind of our lack of inaction, or not ours, but our political representatives.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I think Pratik spoke to how abstract this almost feels. I'm not sure it's clear to the citizenry even what the impact is. When you say it's setting us back 60 years, I don't even know if a lot of people would understand how or why or what you're speaking to. So I do think there's a bit of there's a black box around this, and it's gonna get passed. And then a year from now, we're gonna look around and say, these are who I get to vote for right now? What happened to my neighborhood? That's not Bellevue. Why am I voting for that person? So yeah, I think, and to a point that Ben always brings up, it puts the onus on the people, again, to educate, raise awareness, organize, all that stuff, like come up with all the explanation of what this means and dumb down all those amendments for anybody to understand them. So that is all, that's part of the strategy almost, if I'm honest. So it is in a way to wear us down, but we're not gonna be worn down.
I want to ask Davey a question. I just want to be clear on what you're saying. So you're when you say that these, I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly through the fog of allergy medicine. So when you say that these didn't have to be put out there, those amendments that we are looking, that if you had clicked on the links, they didn't have to be put out there before we heard from the court on whether or not this was legal or not?
No, okay. The court process is moving.
Right.
Until the court says something, once the law was passed, then then everybody is held to adhering to the law. And so the law says, here's the process of how you get to 20. So they put timelines on that. And so now that these timelines are running, planning asked 2 weeks ago in a council meeting, planning asked for some guidance from council. Council did not give that guidance, which there's no requirement in the law that they do. I'm glad that council did not give them guidance, because you can't take a bad situation and make it work. The council in 1962, prior to this, when this got passed in 62, I believe it was 21 people. And it didn't pass in 58. The first time consolidation happened, it was the Black Bloc that killed it, because the question around representation was there. It was 4 more years to 1962 before it got passed with the 35 council districts, 5 at-large council that went into effect in 1963. I think I'm about right on that, huh? Okay. So I'm saying, and I'm not a council person or any of that, how do you take a bad situation and do anything with it?
So you're saying we shouldn't have had some compromise with those numbers?
Well, I
from
would
the
say
beginning.
personally, again, and my view is just my view, and it's the view that I'm advocating for as a voting, taxpaying citizen of this city who's been here all my life, raised my family here, lived through some of these struggles. None of this works for me.
Okay.
None of it. No parts of it. Personally, if I was Vice Mayor Schulman, Derek or somebody might have to come talk to me. Just, how do you, if I tell you that you got to kill yourself, but you got to pick how you kill yourself? That's just my opinion.
I thought that's what you were saying. I was just making sure I heard it, in plain speak. Thank you.
And what a lot of people don't know is the historical context. See, the story that most of us are raised up with is that when white flight, which is books such as The Color of Law show, that as suburbs start to rise and whites left the inner city, the black population in Nashville was such that there was a reasonable possibility that in the mid to late 50s, you could elect a black mayor of Nashville. Hence the whole reason for the consolidation. That's the story I've grown up with all my life.
Okay, thank you. Yes, if we could, things like this are not known. So, well, we can talk about how to get this out. Okay, let's move on to old business. And I know I'm cognizant of time because at some point we do need to go and do our next activity for tonight. Participatory budgeting. That was what we were doing with Fabian. I don't know if we have any news from that. Okay. Did anybody let your communities know about, do you guys remember the presentation that Fabian did? Kind of, maybe, yes. I was just curious if anyone happened to let your communities know about that. Yes?
We shared it out with our community, and I think we're still brainstorming ways and maybe like organizing something where we bring community members to share kind of their thoughts and participate in this process. So, but yeah, we've shared the flyers, we've shared everything. and hoping to just do more outreach.
And Chair, if there are any commissioners who want us to possibly assist them in some kind of way, if you want to bring it to your communities, get with us in the official way that we can help. We'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, that'd be, yeah, exactly. I want to make sure, it seemed like he definitely wanted the word to get out and wanted more communities to be part of it. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone's kind of, it seems like it's not perfect, it's not the whole budget, not even close, but it seemed like a cool opportunity for people to get some basic needs taken care of. Okay, we have no public comments that I can tell, is that correct? I see an announcement for the executive committee meeting, 421, thank you. And then otherwise, we can adjourn and get on with the iftar. Anything else, you guys? Yes,
I
co-secretary.
just have a quick announcement. So, on April 15th, Saturday, April 15th, we're having our first ever youth summit. And so if you know any first, second generation youth that'd be interested in attending, please do. We're hoping to talk about issues facing our communities, such as climate change, voter suppression, et cetera. I can share kind of that information with you all later, but just wanted to share that. If you need more information, feel free to reach out to me.
Sorry, I was just going to ask you, is there any room for allies in that?
For the youth summit, no, but we do have a climate summit that's happening that we would like to open up to allies.
I jumped in right when you were talking about Youth Summit. There's one space for allies, so sorry. If there is an organization, we are having a job fair at the Youth Summit. It's a power building job fair. So for folks who might have any job openings or part-time opportunities, we are gonna open that up for youth internship, volunteer opportunities, part-time opportunities. So if you do have a job opportunity that you want filled over the summer or anything like that, there'll be an hour to meet the youth. If you can't come, we also have a table for folks who just want to lay their job descriptions down, and that way youth can just sign up for it, and we'll send you the names and numbers of those youth, so that way you can help find more staff for whatever you're trying to do. Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
You provide that clarification.
And we
Okay.
definitely hope that all of you could stay for iftar.
Be great. I always learn something new about Ramadan when I stay. So, okay, if I can have a motion to adjourn? And a second?
Second.
Nobody against or abstain? We will adjourn.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.